Hola, Michelle.
¿Cómo están ustedes?
¿Cómo está usted?
Bien.
Está bien.
Good to see you. I'm gonna put this. Okay.
I like your background.
Bueno.
Can you hear me okay?
Do you hear me?
Yes, that's great. Yeah, excellent.
Okay. Give me 1 second real quick. I can't hear you that well.
Can you hear me okay?
I'm trying, I think it's me. I'm gonna connect my audio. I think it's me. Give
Okay.
me 1 second.
Good morning, Mr. Kendall. I'm Michelle Del Valle is here. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Fine, fine. And you, Mr. Kendall?
Excellent. Thank you. So are you just going to be on audio or will you be on video as well? Can you hear me okay?
I hear you in a low volume. I don't know what happened.
Let me see if I
Do you hear me well?
I do. I can hear you just fine. Yeah.
Carlos, I hear you perfectly, and I don't hear Kendall perfect. I thought it was my headset.
Ahora te oigo mejor.
Okay.
So Michelle, you said you could hear me or you could not hear me?
I do hear you, but far away. I thought it was my headphones.
Okay, I think it's from this. So let me turn that off and see if that does any better.
Okay.
Okay, is that any better?
Yes.
Better, a bit more better.
Okay.
Yes. Completely.
Muy bien. Okay.
Ahora sí. Here we go.
Thank you, Kendall, for giving us this opportunity. Due to the pandemic, we haven't been able to complete site visits.
Michelle, if you can talk into your microphone, I could hear that really
Yeah.
well, but I can't hear you now.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay now?
Give me 1 second.
I hear you very, very good.
Okay, excellent.
Everything is okay, Mr. Kendall, the family.
Everything is fine. Everybody is doing well. Everybody's healthy. So yeah, we're all good. Thank you very much.
Okay. This is important. If everything is okay, the other thing, we go for that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for asking.
Okay.
So we lost Michelle there for a second.
Yes.
There she
Maybe he has had trouble with internet.
There we go.
This is Edgardo Perez.
Morning.
Hi,
Morning.
Edgardo. Good morning.
Yes.
I'll be in the background. I'm connected. I'm actually doing a workshop with SBA on the other screen right here. So I'll be on and off. But I will try to be listening and watching over the video. It's a pleasure to meet you finally.
Nice to meet you as well.
But I wanted to participate for a little bit. And once it's my turn back here on the other screen in SBA, I need to switch screens. So I'll be on and off.
No problem. I am going to record this session, so you'll be able to review it later. So I made sure and asked everybody in advance that you're okay being recorded. So we are recording this session.
Yeah. Okay.
We are public servants, so we are allowed to do that.
Excellent. Okay. Michelle, are you good now?
I'm good now. Thank you for that. Thank you for the patience. I'm good now. Hear you perfectly.
Excellent. Michael, you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Excellent.
Good morning, Michael.
Hi, good morning, Carlos. How are you? ¿Cómo estás?
Fine. Everything is okay.
Excelente.
Okay, we had a couple other people that were tentatively going to join. I'm happy to wait. Carlos, I'll let you and Michelle drive the boat. So you tell me when you're ready to get started and I'll commence unless you want to wait for anybody else.
Okay. I excuse Mr. Comas because he's out of his office in a meeting. So I represent the from Oriental. They only represent today in this meeting. Okay.
Okay, no problem. Excellent. So shall I get started?
Yes, and thank you. Thank you for giving us this opportunity of doing it virtually because due to the pandemic, we haven't been able to complete site visits. So
I understand. So if there's any questions as I go through this, or if there's anything in particular that you want to see in more detail, please just either raise your hand or interrupt me. And I'm just going to go through, a normal tour because we do provide every Saturday, we conduct tours for both investors and visitors and people interested in learning more about aquaponic vertical farming. So if that's okay, I'll go through that whole process and then you can ask questions and we can drill into whatever level of detail you'd like.
okay.
Okay. I agree.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, excellent. So where I'm going to start is actually right behind me. You can see on this ledge, we have all of our certifications. So we display those. I'm sitting in our reception area, our main reception area, and I'll give you a tour of this in just a second, but we display all of our certifications. So we have all of our FSA certifications, we have our bona fide, our certificazione de bona fide de agricultura, we have our permiso unico, we have basically any of the documentation that we've submitted, we have it displayed here, including our health department certifications. So I'll touch on some of the things that we've had to do in terms of the current facility. But this is basically what we call our wall of fame, which is all of our certifications that we've been able to achieve. And that in large part has been what's qualified us for the USDA REAP program and some of the other things, including the PRIDCO grant incentive that we were able to achieve. So we're very excited about, having all of those. And we think it's an important piece of the state of ag tech and how we are supporting, the compliance with all of the FSA procedures and so forth.
Yes.
Now, as I walk around the facility, you'll see this is our reception area, and that is our viewing window that goes out into the big warehouse space. So right now I'm standing in about 2,200 square feet of space that has been built out and constructed. So this is our reception door here, and on the wall is an interesting representation of what we're trying to accomplish with our zero waste facility initiatives. So these walls were constructed out of crete board. And as part of that natural construction process, there are waste materials that would normally just be put in the landfill. Well, we've taken all these extra pieces of crete board, and Lisa has actually done artwork on those that we're actually now selling and raising money for the Education Foundation, which is part of our nonprofit association. So we're showing the reuse of recyclables that I'll point out here as we go throughout the facility. But this is some of the artwork that my wife has done. Now, very quickly, I want to just step outside to just show you the front of the building. And it may get a little noisy. We have some yard work being done next door. But the purpose of this is I wanted to show you the outside of the building so that you can see our sign and the entire building. Now, in the Guanajibo Industrial Park, this building is now the premier presentation of curbside appeal, so that we're demonstrating what a dilapidated warehouse vacant building could be turned into. And that's been a big part of our story here, because as you come through the Guanajibo Park, if you were able to visit here, you would see that there are many vacant, abandoned buildings that are in total disrepair. And so we have taken this building and completely renovated it, both outside and the first 20% inside. And we believe that that's a significant part of the story here, is being able to fix the urban blight that happens when buildings are, left to dilapidate. Now, one of the things that I want to share outside here is our wicking bed. So this wicking bed, you can see a pipe on this end right here, and on the other end right there. That goes down 3 feet, and then at the bottom, there's an 18-foot slotted pipe at the bottom, surrounded by gravel, and then filled with compost down here. And the only way that we water is through the pipe on this end, and we water it with fish water. The aquaculture water that we use from the inside, we water this way. Now, you can see we have very healthy tomato plants growing here. And I think you can see some of the tomatoes growing. Here's one here. You can see that. Can you see those okay?
Yes,
Yes.
beautiful.
Okay. And you'll notice these are very healthy, vibrant green growing tomatoes in the outdoor, which is very hot and humid climate. This is not normal because this is being done through a new technology of the wicking bed, where through the capillary action of the water rising up through the gravel and then into the compost, we are bottom watering the roots of these plants. And with the fish water, we're actually accentuating the autoimmune capacity of the plants. So we are not using any herbicides, no pesticides. These started as non-GMO organic seeds inside. And when they got to small size plants, then we transplanted them outside, and you can see how healthy they're doing right now. Now, another example of recycling is this. We call this a whirligig. When the wind is really blowing, this will spin, and through the spinning, it creates a sound and vibration into the ground, which keeps the birds and the iguanas away from the plants. So it's been very effective in terms of both using plastic for recycling as well as for pest and animal control. Now we also have, I'm not sure if you can see it, right in the middle of the yard here. This is actually a weather station. And that weather station is capturing the, buenos dias. The weather station is capturing the temperature, the humidity, rainfall, lightning strikes. You can just leave it there. Gracias. Adios. So we just had some visitors. We're actually collecting plastic recyclables, and they actually just dropped some off for us. So we're using them in wicking beds that I'll show you here in a little bit. So that's just the beginning of the facility on the outside. So now let me take you inside. And again, this is
Kendall, the carports will be near where you are now, or in the back? The carports for the solar panels.
That will be in the back, and that will be off of this end back here. So I'll go around the building and we'll come out the other side, and then I'll show you the outside.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Okay, so now I'm back inside the main reception area, and we, on this television, we provide a video, and we do our vision video for all of the guests that you can see on our Vimeo site or the YouTube channel. And then we take them through the facility through this door, which is the employee entrance to the space. And you can see the floor is all painted. There's another wall with more art. This is the business office here with a mural on it that's been all completed. Mi esposa Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. Hola. Saludo.
And she does, we've got some more art in here as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And then this gentleman is Christopher. Good morning, everyone. Christopher
morning.
is, we affectionately refer to him as our fish guy. So he is our expert on the fish. And what he's doing right now is the weekly testing. Every Friday, we test the water for the fish. So he's testing for magnesium and calcium and phosphates. And what else are you testing for?
Nitrates and other things. So it's a pleasure to me.
Thank you. Same here.
And Christopher comes to us from the University of Puerto Rico, Mayaguez, where he graduates in May, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So-
Congratulations and wish
Thank
you a lot of success.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and then, so this is our employee area where we have lunch tables set up. We have a little kitchen area. So we have a workstation for cleaning dishes, supply area, racking for different supplies and utensils and so forth.
Okay.
And then we have the biosecure entrance into the grow room. And you can see the plastic slats, which keep, majority of bugs and flies and other insects out of the secure area. And then down here is our mat. It's a biosecure mat, which has a disinfectant in it. So whenever anybody goes into the biosecure room, they have to step on that mat. It disinfects the shoes, because the number one way that pests get into a grow room is through the shoes, because you're either coming from another farm or outdoors. And so we disinfect the shoes and go into the grow room from there. So I'll do that. We'll watch Lisa do that. Okay. All right, now it gets a little noisy in here, so if you have any trouble hearing me, please let me know. Okay, so we have several things going on in here. The first is our dark room. So Lisa's just taken and lifted the dark covering off of this, and this is where we have our seed library. So the entire inventory is here and on the other side. And this is where we start and germinate the seeds. So you can see these trays where the germination starts. And we have here is a complete rainwater roots for, these are called butter peas. And so these are growing in the dark, and you can see that they're still yellow. They don't have any green because we keep them in the dark. The restaurant chefs really like the color and the flavor of these, so we don't put them in the light, and they stay this nice butter yellow color.
Okay.
And then we have some of the trays that Lisa's taken out here and put them on our harvest table. So this table in the center is all the work area where we do seeding and harvesting trays. So Lisa right now is going through the microgreen trays, and you can see as she lifts those off, this is what they look like when they're first uncovered. And then we put them from here into the lights. This is our associate Gabo.
Hi.
Gabrielle also comes to us from UPR Mayaguez.
Nice meeting you.
Thanks. And then we have a variety of racks along here, so you can see the wire shelf racks, and they're full of the LED lights, and then the different plants, different varieties of microgreens that we have. We're also capturing seeds, drying seeds here for our own seed library, and then some additional different types of microgreens growing here. And then let me come over here. So this is our vertical aquaponics rack system.
Wow.
This is 5 levels of aquaponics system, that each one of these grow troughs is 12 inches deep, 4 feet across, and 8 feet long. So we have 5 on each side. So in this grow room, there are 10 of these grow troughs, and we have a total capacity of 1,120 plants, because each one of these float boards contains 28 of these plant holes. Okay, so each plant sits in a hole, and there's 28 holes per board. And then Lisa's going to lift this up to show you the roots. Okay, so now you can see that the roots are beautiful white, and they're constantly surrounded by the aquaponics water. And that basically allows the energy to be driven for the plants to grow up, because they don't have to send a taproot and they're not fighting for nutrients in the soil. So this is why we call ourselves water farmers, because we're using no soil. Okay. Now you can see here another example that Lisa's showing of our recycling. So instead of the traditional net cups, we're using inverted plastic bottle lids to hold the roots and to hold the plant. So you can see again the very healthy roots that go down in the water, and then this plant is mint. And if you could be here right now, you would be smelling this incredible aroma of the mint. And we'd love to give you a taste, because it's absolutely phenomenal as well. But you can see how healthy and vibrant the color is. The fragrance, you'll just have to take my word for it, it's very powerful. And the next thing is Lisa's going to show you a very special crop here. I don't know if you can see that.
What is that?
That's a strawberry.
A strawberry?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we have a whole level of strawberries that we're proving out are growing in an aquaponic system, and she just ate it.
Wow.
Bon appetit, Lisa.
I know. That's organic.
Yes.
Totally, it's beyond organic. We say it's
Wow.
more organic.
Wow.
Yeah, we're actually going to be trademarking that phrase, more organic.
More organic.
But you can see every level has LED lights. And so we're on a 16-hour grow cycle. So all the lights are connected to timers. And right now we're on a 16-hour grow cycle. So because of the increased grow cycle, and because the roots are always in water and the energy is going to the plants, they grow in half the time that normal plants out in the field would grow. So this mint that you're seeing here is basically 3 weeks old, and it's almost at full harvest capacity right now.
Wow.
Now you can see, I'll go around here. I'll show you a level that has been harvested. So this level has been harvested, and you can see it's about less than a week old, and it's already growing back again. So this is what we call the cut and come again strategy, is that we're not replanting the mint, we're just regrowing it from the same roots. So we harvest, and then it grows up like this again.
How long, you said?
3 weeks.
Wow, that's incredible.
So because we have the water and the light allow the plants to grow very, very fast. We also have horizontal saturation because we can put the plants much closer together, so the spacing is more. So we get horizontal efficiency because we can put the plants closer together, and we get vertical efficiency because we're doing the multiple levels very high. So the per square foot production is extremely above what you would expect for a traditional per square foot of a traditional farm. So Michael, you want to jump in there?
No, I just sent a text to everybody as well. I wasn't sure if Michelle was asking how long, if it was the mint that had not been harvested or the mint that had just been harvested. So the stubs that are looking pretty big already, that was 1 week, and the larger plants were 3 weeks. It's about a 3-week growth cycle to harvest the mint, and about 1 week later, you can see how aggressive it had already grown. So I just want to make sure that was the right thing.
It's clear. Thank you. That's
Gotcha.
very impressive. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And then the last thing to show you is in this, well, not the last thing, but the next thing. So we start with the seeds in the dark room. We plant them where they pop up in the lights, and then we move them to these trays, which again is closer saturation. You can see all the roots again here. Not sure if you can see those, but
Yeah, we do. Very.
so this is Lola Rosso lettuce. These are bok choy and basil and different romaines. So we have a variety of different crops that will grow in these smaller trays, and then when they get a little bit larger, then we transplant them to these boards over here. So on this board, we have the Paris romaine lettuce, we have bok choy, we have Lola Rosso, we have Thai basil in the back there. So we've been able to grow about 22 different varieties so far, but as you can see right now, most of this is all mint. So we're growing a lot of mint because that's what clients are demanding right now.
They are
For
for those
mojito, it's for mojito.
mojitos. I
Yeah.
was just gonna say that.
Exactly. Now,
No, one quick question.
yeah.
So on the basil, what's the turnaround since it is the product that is more committed to the Caribbean Produce proposal? So how is the turnaround on the basil?
In terms of the time to grow or?
Yeah, production.
Yep. So we are actually growing that in almost the same time frame. It's a few more days on the basil to get to the larger leaves, but it's the same growth cycle, basically a 28-day growth cycle to get to harvestable basil. And basil is also a cut and come again crop where we don't have to replant. We can basically let it regrow. So that's a much more operationally efficient crop, just like the mint.
Mint.
Perfect.
Okay, got
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Now, in addition to the deep water culture, so this is a style of vertical growing, there are also different styles of the nutrient film technique or the NFT. There's also media beds. And what we're showing over here is the Dutch bucket method with media beds. So we have a whole line of Dutch buckets that we're growing tomatoes. And you can see
Wow.
right there, you can see. Now, these are the same tomatoes as are growing outside, but we're growing them indoor, and we're growing them in a different media. You can see this is perlite, and so we're growing them. This is the irrigation pipe on top, and it's drip irrigation to each one of the buckets, and then it drains from the bottom and goes back circulating to the aquaponics system. So they're still being fed by the aquaponics water, even though it's in a different media. So we're showing multiple styles of growth strategies in different media and demonstrating that you can do pollinating, fruiting vegetables, as well as leafy greens. So we're demonstrating the capacity to do both.
Wow.
Now, the other part of the system, and this gets fairly loud over here because there's a regenerative air blower. So right there, right here, is our regenerative air blower. And this takes the air and blows it up in this pipe, comes across the ceiling, goes up the ceiling, and then down to the top of the fish tank right here. And then each one of these, we have 7 different air stones that blow air into the fish tank. And here you can see the fish tank with all of our, can you see our little fishies there?
Yeah, they're so cute.
So we have 2 varieties of fish. We have the koi, which is the colored fish, and then the white ones are Nile pearl tilapia. And the pearl tilapia is really the nutrient engine, whereas the koi are really good algae eaters, and so they help us keep the tanks clean. And then I'll just I'm pulling up one of the air stones so you can see what the air stone looks like. Can you see that okay with the air bubble through it?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So the air bubbles produce dissolved oxygen, which is important for the fish. Now, the fish in an aquaponic system are the nutrient engine for the nitrification that produces the nitrites and then the nitrates, which is absorbed by the plants. So the fish, through their gills, exhale ammonia, and through their waste, create ammonia. So both through the urine and feces, they create ammonia. That ammonia gets suspended in the water, and then the beneficial bacteria convert it through the nitrification process into the nitrites and then nitrates. So we have a gravity flow system where from the fish tank, you can see up above, there's a drain that gravity from here, water flows into this pipe, down this pipe, and into what we call our swirl tank. The swirl tank, the water constantly rotates, and the major sediment goes out to the edge and then falls to the bottom. And then we have a drain system here that actually goes outside, and we use the fish waste that is not suspended that goes into heavy sediment, and we move that outdoors for fertilizing the outside. So that's where we get the water from the fish tank out to the wicking bed and other plants outside. Then from the swirl tank, it moves via this gravity flow into what we call the moving biobed filter. The moving biobed filter, can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, there's all kinds of little plastic nodules that are constantly bubbling around, and that basically creates a tremendous amount of surface area where the beneficial bacteria colonizes. So this is where the majority of the nitrification takes place, through these colonies that are in this moving biobed filter. And then it's gravity flows out the backside of this system, goes down around the system, and then comes into the grow troughs on the backside. So that's where this pipe right here is where it flows into the second level, and then it gravity flows down to the first level, and then we have that pump, una bomba, which then pumps it all the way up to the very top, and then it gravity flows down from the top all the way through. So this is a closed loop, one pump system that basically provides complete circulation of the water. Basically every 4 hours, the system completely recirculates.
Wow.
Now, one of the things that we also do, you can see this monitor right here is a CO2 monitor. What's interesting is, because this is a closed environment, we're actually producing so much oxygen from the plants in their natural photosynthesis that it creates so much oxygen that we've actually had guests ask if they could come sit in here just because they like the oxygen therapy.
Oh my God.
But we've also had an issue with that, because there's so much oxygen, it actually depletes the CO2 level. And so part of the process is that we have to introduce CO2 into the environment for the plants to have enough CO2 to go through the photosynthesis process. So we actually have, now let me back up here. So way up high right here, this is our CO2 generator. So that pumps CO2 into the environment. CO2 is heavier than air, so it goes around and then it slowly sinks down. And so all the levels of the system receive CO2.
And
Now, yeah, go ahead.
one quick question. So going back to the fish, so I had a comment when I was reading your feasibility study about the sourcing of the fish. So yeah. I read it's down in Lajas. Is that the only one that is able to provide the amount of fish you will need for your project, or do you have another one?
We have multiple sources for everything we're doing. So we're not single dependent upon any supplier for anything, whether it's fish or seeds or plastic containers. We have multiple vendors, multiple suppliers for each.
Awesome.
Right now, Caribe Fisheries in Lajas has been able to provide us everything we need. So they've been an excellent supplier, and Dr. Mike McGee, PhD, runs that. He's been a 30-year farmer in Lajas for aquaculture, and he's been able to provide us everything. He's also on our board, so he's an extremely knowledgeable fish consultant for us. So as we started up the system, he's been advising us on how to deal with, new tank syndrome and all these kind of things that you have to be aware of.
Yeah, so he's all in.
All in, totally.
Okay, perfect,
Awesome.
Yeah,
Outstanding.
and we also get from him the other thing that I can't show you very well. In each one of the grow trough levels, we have freshwater prawns. So we have shrimp in the system as well. And we have about 15 to 20 of those in the system in each grow trough. And they actually both help the nitrification process, but they also clean the roots. So they eat the bacteria or other things off of the roots and help keep them the pristine white that you see them.
Perfect.
Now, the other thing that I'll point out is that we do a lot of data capture. So this device here captures the conductivity, the water temperature, and the pH. This is just 3 of the variables that we're monitoring on a daily basis. We also do manual tests that get captured in our daily logbook. So this logbook inside, when I introduced you to Christopher, this sheet is the result of what he's doing on a weekly testing basis. And then we also have, on a daily basis, we have different data that we're capturing in terms of alkalinity, the pH, the water temperature. We're monitoring the dissolved oxygen content. So we're capturing a lot of data that helps us be able to make better decisions. So if we can early identify that the pH is spiking or that we're down on the calcium levels, it helps us maintain the environment in balance. Now, directly behind me is our rainwater collection system. So this pipe right here that goes out the building is actually the inflow from the rain gutter system on the outside of the building. I'll show you that in a second, but it flows in through this pipe, drops into this tank right behind me, and then there's a connecting pipe. I don't know if you can see that. It's a U-shaped pipe below
Yep.
the manual sediment trap. And then both of the tanks fill the same time all the way up to the top until it hits here. And this is our overflow valve that then goes back outside the building. So for every inch of rain, we capture 3,300 gallons of water on one half of the building.
Wow.
So we're capturing right now way more water than we have the ability to store it right now, because these cisterns are only 800 gallons each. So we're going to be in the next phase. Part of the equipment list was the new water cisterns and expanded capacity for the next stage. But we do have a fully functioning water cistern system. Now, I'm going to go out into the warehouse, and I may lose you based on the connectivity, but if so, I'll try and sign back in. But any questions on this right now? Because this is the extent of what's currently constructed. So 2,200 square feet, fully functioning aquaponics vertical grow system with rainwater and fully temperature controlled. So we have 2 air conditioners, we have full fan ventilation, we have 4 dehumidifiers in here that's controlling the humidity. So outside it's probably 85 degrees and 80% humidity. In here it's 72 degrees and about 60% humidity. We manage between 50 and 60% humidity. So any questions for this part?
I'm good.
I'm clear. Perfectly explained
Excellent.
by you.
Okay, so now I'm going to go out into the big warehouse space. Hopefully I won't lose you. Okay, so now this is the rest of the warehouse space. So this is basically 9,000 square feet that is currently, just as we have renovated it and painted it, it's ready to go. We have constructed the, throughout the space, you can see these floor drains. So we saw cut those sides, dug down 4 feet, put in the pipes, put in the floor drains. So within 12 feet of anywhere you go across this entire warehouse floor, we have floor drains that's capturing any of the water that we have in the system.
Yeah.
So as we go along here, this is the steel for the next rack system that you can see behind me over here. So there's various components. These are the floors, the wire rack floors that have come palletized. These are the walls of the grow troughs. And you can see, you know, part of our equipment list, we have this floor jack that has equipment on it that we're moving around in different places. But this is the next stage of construction. So this rack system here, again, this is an 8-foot section, which is exact replica of what I showed you inside, but now there's 7 of these sections that are all put together, which is now 56 foot long, which will be 1 continuous grow trough, 5 levels, the same as inside, double cantilever, so 1 on each side. And you can see that we have the first rack system with the center towers. The bottom row is set up and configured. and we have the first shelf level starting to go in. So this is the beginning of what will be 5 more rack systems just like this. So this is what the construction loan will be going towards in terms of the use of proceeds. So it'll be 4 more of these rack systems, all the LED lights for under this, all the electrical wiring and plumbing for all of this, the air conditioners for this whole space, all of the dehumidifiers, all of the fans that will go in this space, all of the walls that have to be constructed, because as you can see, you know, we still have just the Miami Hurricane shutter windows right now that all have to be enclosed with full structural insulated panels, just like we did in the other grow room. So let me pause there and see.
Quick question, Kendall. So is that part of the renovations from Pritco, or is that not part of those that I read on the feasibility about some renovations?
No, the only renovations Pritco did was the roof and making sure that those hurricane shutters were in. So they completed that, because when we first took possession of this building, there were no window coverings. The roof was completely in disrepair. So it was basically just the skeleton of the building that was good. We had to completely clean and redo the floors. We had to put the drains in. So the only thing that Pritco did, again, was the roof and the hurricane shutters.
Wow.
And their chunk of the job is already completed.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Now we have outside, I don't think I can get there. It'll get me too far and I'll lose connection. But we do have outside the back door, I don't know if you can see it, but we have the Moringa Grove, which is where we're growing moringa trees, which is the main ingredient that we're using to produce our own fish food, which is very novel and not common because most aquaculture operations, including Mike McGee's Caribe Fisheries, he buys organic fish food from the States and has it shipped in on pallets, and it's very expensive. And part of the problem is that it's not sustainably manufactured. So that commercial fish food, they basically harvest ocean fish, they process it into fish meal, and that becomes the protein source in commercial fish food. From our standpoint, that's not sustainable. So what we're using instead of fish meal in our own food is the leaves from the moringa tree, which are very high protein. They're the highest protein content of any plant in the world. And so we have 128 moringa trees that we harvest the leaves, dry them, powderize it, and give it to another student from University of Puerto Rico, Mayaguez, who has purchased the only pelletizing machine in Puerto Rico. And he manufactures our fish food for us based on a recipe that it uses our moringa as the protein source. So to our knowledge, we have the only vegan fish in the world.
Wow.
So Caribe Fishery provides or is a backup for the fish for you, for the tilapia, and you're going to provide them the food eventually, I guess.
That's correct, yes.
Oh my God.
Quick question, Kendall. So in that corner right behind you, is that facing, because I'm up in an area view on Google Maps in my other screen, so that will be west of the building, like the rear side of the building?
Actually, this is the south side of the building.
Okay.
Yeah, you're looking at the south side of the building. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So the big door on the end is the one that goes toward the parking lot, right?
That's this door over here. That's the warehouse door behind me over here.
All right.
Yeah. And I'll actually go over here because I can show you the outside of the rainwater collection as well that's been fully installed on one half of the building.
Okay.
So let me go over here. Hopefully I don't lose you. And hopefully I don't fall going down the ladder.
Please don't.
Okay, so I just came out our warehouse door. This is where distribution and shipping will occur. So Caribbean produce trucks will back up here, and this is where they will pick up produce boxed. But outside here, this is the and I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, you're gonna cut in there, so.
We're losing connection.
Yeah, maybe you wanna go back in.
The internet.
My internet connection is Not so good. Can you see?
Better
Can you
now.
see me?
You go now.
We should probably go in.
So this is the router. All right. All right. I get too far away from the router or the modem and then the loop. Yeah. Okay, so
that parking area that you just came back from the loading dock is not where the carport is going to be located for the
that's correct.
Okay.
The carport for the solar pergola as well as out the backyard is where the solar pergola will be located. You're absolutely correct.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. All right. So with that, that concludes the tour. Normally I would take you all the way out to the back Moringa Hill and I can show you the wicking beds that we're working on. But again, I can't go that far because the internet connection. Sorry about that.
No, it's perfect. Don't worry.
I felt personally that we were there, so.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's pretty good.
Good. Well, that's excellent. Okay, so any questions, anything that I can answer based on the tour or anything else that you wanted to cover specifically?
Not on my end. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for your time. It gives us, I always say, because obviously the pandemic has changed everything, but I always say that the site visit will give us an insight, right, and an overview of the purpose, and is always we always recommend the site visit. So thank you for your time.
Oh, my pleasure. And we've had, it's interesting because you can describe this verbally and you can show pictures, but until you come here and actually experience it, and this is the closest way to experience it without physically being here. But we had one of our clients, which is the Mahi Mahi restaurant in Añasco, which has the Mojito Lab, and they're a big buyer of the mint right now. But Armando, the owner, and his father came here to do a tour to see how we're growing the mint. And his father was speaking with him in Spanish, and they were both chuckling. And I asked him, what did he say? And his father said in Spanish that this is the Disneyland of ag tech.
It is.
True. It is.
Once you step in and you can smell it and feel it, is a total different experience.
Yes, absolutely.
And hopefully, once this ends, Edgardo and I will pass and visit. Hopefully.
Perfecto.
Me too.
Yeah, I want to have one of those strawberries. Looking forward to eating one of those strawberries.
You will love those strawberries for sure.
Yeah. It's like Epcot. Remember
yes.
When I was little, I remember going to Epcot and they had the tomato hydroponic farming.
Yep.
That was years ago. And wow.
All right. Well, thank you all for your time. I'm sorry that we weren't able to be together, but I certainly appreciate your investment of time and appreciate your questions. And if you have anything else, please don't hesitate to call me, text me, email me. Michelle, you've gotten some of the final requirements from us, and I hope to have the rest of that to you today. But thank you all for your support. We know that this has been a long haul. There's been, a lot of activity because anytime you're doing a first of a kind, there are things that are just, nobody's going to expect. And so I appreciate all of your persistence, your support. It means a great deal, not only to us, but this is an important thing for all of Puerto Rico. So we thank you very, very much.
So thank you for the opportunity and congratulations because you are a very good host to show all the process. I read in your presentation, I see in your presentation today. So thank you for that.
Excellent.
Michelle, check your mic.
No, we can't.
Check the USB. It might get disconnected.
There we can. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
No, hold on, Michelle. There is something wrong with your headset or something there. Checking your settings. Yeah, because you hear like in the background. No, it's not the mute. It's something else.
Okay, I'll just ask him.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, I would like Luis Garcia because we are going to present committee. I would like for him to have a
No, I don't know if Kendall and the other rest of the team were able to listen to you.
No.
I'm sorry, I could not hear that. Michelle, maybe if you could type it into the chat
Yes,
session,
ma'am.
that'd be great. And Michael, any parting words, brother?
It's always a pleasure to see it. I want to taste it this morning. A little breakfast with some strawberry would be good. I just know it was good. The comment I wanted to make, you covered, which was on the, on the prawns and even some of the freshwater lobster, that on the fish, there are a number of species that can be introduced to the system so that there's a diversity of product to the market.
Yep.
So that's a real big thing too, that you're not, pigeonholed into just tilapia, depending on what local interest is. It's very easy to change and diversify. But no, that was really good, Kendall. Thanks for putting that together for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And Michelle, yes, I will provide the link to this recording after the meeting is ended. So you'll have this that can be part of the file as well. So that's great.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Very good.
I know Michelle is typing me here. Obviously, once we get the this recording, we're gonna put it in our documents as well, so we can have it. I mean, it was awesome. It definitely gave us a different perspective of the whole project. Same thing that Carlos mentioned. I mean, it's not the same thing reading it in a feasibility study or looking through some blueprints or something like that. So it changed a lot. So we do appreciate your time.
Excellent. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Buen día.
Okay.
Adiós, buen día.
Buen día.
Okay, bye-bye.
Ciao.